Hey, welcome to episode 30 of the Cellarcast. It's like, what time is it right now? It's 5:40 a.m. on a Sunday, and I'm recording this because I can't sleep slash I don't want to sleep, which might not be too great because I have COVID right now. So apparently, if anyone was paying attention to the community posts, this is probably going to be just to be clear, this is probably going to be a very, I don't know, rambly episode. In the sense of, like, I don't know if I have any real topics to talk about. I just kind of wanted to talk about something and just kind of have my brain kind of filter through white noise. So, what the heck? So, yeah, I was sick. I had a really nasty fever last week. And, no, was it the week before? It was the week before. So basically what happened was we sort of touched on this on the last episode when Kat was on. But she and I went to go visit some of my friends because I haven't seen them in a while, and I got to introduce them to her. And it was a great time. And then she got home. We both got home. And she texted me and she said, "Hey, I got home and my mom just told me that my little brother tested positive for COVID." I was like, okay, I'll go tell my friends. So then I woke up the next morning with a bit of a sore throat, and I was thinking that maybe it was just because I'd been talking a lot the previous night, talking and laughing and raising my voice, because we had a great time. It was really nice to see them. But maybe it's because I wore through my voice. Like, I spent a lot of time not talking. Not talking verbally. So maybe just 5-6 hours or so of like talking a lot, because my voice was real tired by the time I got home. So maybe I'm just going through whatever that's called. It's like a voice hangover. I don't know. or I guess it'd be more like a workout. What's that? Like soreness, like when you're sore after a workout, which I've only experienced a handful of times in my life. But that for my voice. And then it didn't go away. And then it continued, and then it got worse. And then it kind of peaked around Thursday, which was the 6th. And it was just awful. Like, I kept waking up. Did I talk about this? I feel like I did. I don't remember, but just this horrible experience where I kept waking up, and in the middle of the night I couldn't sleep for more than 2 hours because I kept waking up because I was so dehydrated. My body kept waking me up so I could go drink some water or something. My head was just pounding. Everything hurt. I was sore. It was not a high tier experience, and my body was I was dehydrated because my body was running through so much water I wasn't sweating a lot. It was just that my body was just running through so much water trying to fight the illness, and I was like, fuck. I couldn't find a place to get tested. Eventually, Kat actually found one for me. She sent me the link. I was like, thank you. And I thought I'd be fine after the weekend. This was the weekend that I hosted the tournament. So I wasn't in tip-top shape. And then, just looking at the calendar, the next week happened, and I just was still sick. I was coming off of it, and I was like, I'm getting better. It'll only be a few days, and come Wednesday, and I finally get tested. I went on one day and like the place was like closed, or I misread the schedule, and I was like, ah, fucking goddamn it. So I finally find the right place on Wednesday. I find a walk-in place I can go get my test done, and I'm like, I'm almost done. And then now it's Sunday, so it's been 4 days since then, and I still 4 or 5 days, however you want to read that inclusively or exclusively, and I'm still sick. Like, I can still feel it. It's so weird. All my symptoms are basically gone, right? All my symptoms are gone, but I don't have the fever, I don't have a temperature, I don't have a cough. I was coughing a little bit, but I think that was just my throat was dry. I don't have any, like, snot or anything like that. Any, like, the typical, symptoms of being sick. I don't really have any of that kind of thing going on. But I have that kind of, like, I can feel it in my, like, throat, right? It's like, it's that sick feeling. It's just lingering. It's on, like, a pixel of health. And I can't fucking chip it out for some reason. And it's had this weird effect, or I don't know if it's that, or maybe my sleep got bad, or something like that, but, it's like the worst possible timing. I was starting the new year, and I was like, alright, I'm gonna kind of make some changes to the way that I do things. I'm gonna open up a Patreon. That's exciting. I'm gonna be able to start making money. And what I wanted to do is, there's all these projects that I have been wanting to do. I've been, doing the channel for a little over a year now. And I was committed to making, like, I would get, like, at least 3 videos out a month. At least. It started off with a video every week, and then it was every, like, 3, like, I would start missing day or missing weeks or something like that, but I was really going for it, and that's how I built up, like, I think a pretty sizable backlog. It seems smaller to me, but I look back and it's like 40 videos or something, and it's like, that's quite a bit, So and then there were, times I had to take off for one reason or another, because I had something that week, or just, like, wasn't gonna be. It was a very fragile schedule, because it kind of required that I was free and available to do, work, like a certain amount of work every day. And if I just got occupied by something, it would get thrown off, and it's like, well, can't do the video this week, or I have to, like, really crunch it out. And it wasn't, I got a lot done, and I'm pretty happy with all the videos I've made, but it was, like, not sustainable, I guess, from just a workflow standpoint. Like, it was a little much. And then it was also, even doing it full time, it was like, it felt like much. And then also, it gets you really prone to burning out. When I was like, fuck, it would be this thing where it's like, I'm working the whole week trying to get a video out. I get it out on Friday, and then I would spend, like, the whole weekend thinking about, like, fuck, like, what? I would just keep running out of ideas. What do I make a video on next? Like, so many of my videos were practically made in, like, have practically been made in, like, 4 days. And it was, like, very stressful, and that over a long period of time is kind of like the ingredient for burnout. So I was like, I need to take a break. I tried to, like, can I take breaks? How often? What can I do? And I was just figuring this all out. And then finally, I had these ideas built up, and I wanted to do them, but it was always like, fuck, like it's like it would take too long. Like, I can't do this in a week. I can't even do this, like, I can't do this in the time frame that I was giving myself with my previous videos. So come January, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of already slipping from the 3 video a month schedule that I vaguely set for myself. Why don't I try to, because the idea was that I would make 3 videos and then take a week's break or something like that. Or I would allow myself to take a week to not do anything. So I said, why don't I just switch over to doing 2 videos a month? And then I can get to focus on the ideas that I want to do that would just take a lot more time. And so I was like, it's a good time. It coincides well with my, not because of any kind of New Year's resolution or anything dumb like that, just like, well, I'm opening a Patreon in January because of tax reasons, and because it's easier if I do it. I'd rather not do it at the very tail end of the year, which is when I could have done it. I'll do it in January. So I did it like literally January 1st or 2nd or something like that, and then I made it public, and I was like, okay, so I was kind of figuring it out, and I said, well, $5 a month, or well, $5 per video, because I was never comfortable with the idea of charging monthly. Was very like stress inducing to me. It was like, oh fuck, that feels like so much pressure. Like, I have to get a certain amount of like videos out per month to make it worth people's money. And they're like, I don't feel confident enough, so let me charge per video. I thought $5 is the most that I'm comfortable asking from people. So there's one $5 tier, and I want to make it per video. And I said, you know what? It's a good opportunity to just switch over to it twice a month. So theoretically, if I make 2 videos a month, that's $10 per patron. So I was like, that's fine. I'm comfortable with that. And I very specifically defined, like, when I say video, I mean like the Cellar, the things that go in the Cellar playlist, episodes of the Cellar. It's its own thing, not counting live streams, not counting this podcast, not counting celebration videos and things like that. Specifically the stuff that most people are here for, because most people aren't paying for this, or a video of me like looking at my anime figures or something like that. People are paying for the premium edited content, so to speak. That's what I've seen it. I've read people describe it as premium. So I was like, okay, so that's what people are paying for. I'll shift my focus, or not shift my focus, but that's what I'm comfortable with. I make 2 videos a month. I think people can maybe pay $10 a month for that. That's fine with me, or less. And I don't. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. I lost my train of thought. I would want to like. Yeah, the plan was not to just like flood my channel now that I charge per video, right? That's what one of my friends was like, oh my god, if he makes like 10 videos in a month, I'm gonna fucking paying so much. I'm like, no, it's like specifically this one type of content I do, because I technically would be making, if I do this weekly, that's like 6 videos a month, or more if I do extra stuff, which I might. on any given month. It's like, that's way too much. That's ridiculous. So that's not what I'm not trying to scam people with that. It's actually like because I don't feel comfortable with my ability to put out content enough. So that's what I did. So as soon as I make this change, I'm like, wow, so excited. I finally get to work on this big video I've been planning for a while, or this big concept, I guess. And I finally get to delve into it. I get to do all the research, and fucking lord, it took me 5 straight days to do the research for this video, and maybe more, and I'll have to do more in the future. Probably, like, just for bigger stuff. And so it was like, okay, that was a good idea. Yeah, this is a video that literally needs 2 weeks to make, because I'm spending multiple hours just taking notes, and I'm barely making a dent in the amount of information that I need to sift through in order to actually like have enough to get like a clear picture of what happened. And this just so happens to be the week that I get COVID. So fucking awesome. I've been sick for 3 weeks now. From the 2nd to the 15th to now, I'm entering my 3rd week of being sick. Technically, if you count Sunday as the beginning of the month, or the week. And like, it's like, great, what an awesome time. As soon as I'm starting this fresh new venture, I get fucking this albatross around my neck. So yeah, my diagnosis, my test results came in. It was COVID, so I did have COVID. Now, thankfully, it only manifested as a nasty fever. One of the less bad outcomes that could have been, you know. I was vaccinated. I am vaccinated. I didn't become unvaccinated. I didn't have my booster shot, so I don't know, maybe it would have been better. But I got my first round of vaccines over the summer when they were going out, and people were like, oh yeah, you get the fucking 3rd ones, and I'm like, okay, I will sometime. Maybe it would have helped, but yeah. Fucking weirdly enough, Kat didn't get COVID. She lives with the fucking guy. She lives with him. It's her family member. She didn't get it. But I did. Through her. Oddly enough. Unless it was through one of my friends. But none of them got it. So I don't fucking know. It's weird. Fuck me, I guess. I don't feel as bitter as that sounds. Yeah, but talking has made me feel better. I've been sitting in bed. I was like, I made this post. I was like, hey, probably no video. There's going to be a delay. When I was planning on having one out. And I'm sitting here, and one of the weird effects, I think, of the COVID, or it might be my sleep. Oh, I was mentioning this earlier, and I never finished this thought. Is that I work for like 2 hours, or less, and I feel so exhausted. Like, I just have this full body tiredness, and I'm like, fuck, I have to, like, I'm so tired I can't think. I have to go lay down. And then I lay down, I'm like, man, laying down feels really good. Laying down feels really nice. And then I just spend like fucking like 3 more hours just laying down doing nothing. And then I get up and I try to work, and I work for an hour, and then I'm like, fuck, I gotta go lie down. Because I feel tired again through my whole body. And I'm like, is that a COVID thing? Is that my sleep? Is that like, how am I messing myself up? Am I hydrating enough? What's going on? And it just got to this point where, like, over the last week, it was so hard to work on this video. Like, it was so hard to bring myself to do work on it. It sounds like horrible. It sounds really like, I don't know. privileged. I'm always like really self-conscious about stuff like that. Like, you know, I have a very privileged position where I can just stay home and I can like do this stupid shit. And other people have to do, like, you know, they gotta deal with real stuff. I just get to sit here, and the idea that, like, oh, I can't bring myself to sit in a chair and make a YouTube video. It feels like, I feel bad. I feel like I'm not a bad person, but I feel like, I don't know, ungrateful. There's just a lot of things, you know. And it's like, oh, I work so hard. I don't know. I feel very self-conscious about that. I always try to, like, I feel like I'm overly hard on myself because I'm really afraid of, like, becoming ungrateful or something like that. It's something that I don't know, it kind of nags at the back of my mind. Like, you can't get too comfortable, because then you'll start to become worse as a person, or you can't be proud. I have this weird thing, like, I feel like I can never be proud of myself. I can never be proud of myself, because if I'm proud of myself and I let myself be proud, then I'll start to think that I'm, like, superior than other people, and that'll make me a worse person. And these are, like, really weird insecurities to have. It's like I have this, like, I feel like insecure about feeling like I'm better than other people. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but it's like this thing, like, fuck, like, constantly nagging at the back of my mind. Like, don't do this. It's wrong. You're gonna start depreciating as a person. Or whatever, you know. You're gonna become unaware of you're gonna denigrate yourself. And you're gonna be unaware of it. So I'm just overly self-critical. I don't know, overly. I can't say for sure. It's subjective anyway, but I guess the word that came to mind was overly self-critical. So maybe that's, like, more telling. Like, fuck, keep yourself in check. Don't. What the fuck was I talking about? Right, yeah. I can't finish this fucking video. I've got maybe a third of it done, at least in terms of runtime. You know, I can't say that, like, how much of the work is done, because sometimes parts of a video take. Some of the most time I spend on videos is, like, in the intros, just doing the intros, and the rest of the video is a comparative breeze. But so I can't really say. There's probably going to be a portion of this video that's much easier to edit than the other parts. But yeah, the beginning, like the first half, has been a real, I don't just want to say pain, but it's been more intensive. Pardon me, on the editing side of things. And so I was like, I just can't fucking. I like what I've done so far. I think it's cool. It's probably this is probably like the most elaborate intro that I've ever done for anything, but I really like it. I need some water. There's no water around me. There's so many empty water bottles, but there's only 2, but there's no water. What the heck am I talking about? Yeah, so I was like, I should just fuck it, you know. I'm tired. I'm gonna go lie down, and it's Saturday, and I'm just, what am I doing? I'm working, I'm grinding, and I made progress, but not enough to finish the video. Not nearly enough. So fuck it. Put it to next week. It's gonna be delayed by like 3 weeks or some shit, or 2 weeks, or I don't know. It's And like I'm sitting in my bed, and like the fact that because like all I want to do, the reason for the fuck it is because like, let me just get over this fucking illness. I just don't want to be sick. I don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be tired. Let me just get over it and become like healthy, you know? I haven't seen, you know, my girlfriend in a while because of this. I haven't seen her in like, I usually see her at least once a week. I haven't seen her in like, yeah, since like the 3rd. And it's the 16th as I record this. It's been a long ass time. And seeing her always makes me feel like a lot better, and it just in general. So it's like fucking, it's going to be even longer because then I got to go get it. Once I'm healthy feeling, I have to go get another test, and it's going to take another like 4 days. Ugh. So I'm just like, I want to get over this, and then I'll try to do a little work, but you know. So like it feels, but I'm lying in bed, and I'm like, just not doing anything. Like I'm doing, like when the COVID was bad, it was like, I feel, I didn't do anything. I didn't feel bad at all about that because I was sick as fuck. I was sick as a dog. So it's like, yeah, this is the better thing for me to do. It's just sit in bed, do nothing, and drink water with like a vitamin C supplement, like blend. But now I'm like sitting in my bed, and I'm like, fuck, like I'm feeling so like anxious, I guess. It's like this thing that's creeping up on me from the back of my mind of like, oh god, you know, what's gonna happen? Are people gonna lose? People gonna forget about my channel? Is my channel gonna stop growing? I had some really nice growth the last few weeks, but like it kind of slowed down, and I'm not here to like keep feeding the fucking machine of content. And I know this podcast is like probably really bad for my analytics or whatever, because like a comparative fraction of people actually watch it, and the engagement is not great because I feel like a very small amount of people actually watch or listen to most of it. But I do it because I like it. But I know that it's bad. It's like a vice. I don't know. Probably fucks me up in the system, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't care. I don't know, I believe in myself. I think if I keep pushing, I can do something. I don't know. That's the other thing, is that like when I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about like my anxiousness, I was thinking about like, you know, what's even the point of me doing a YouTube channel? Because I also happen to have just been watching just a bunch of like videos about like YouTubers who like completely fell off the map, and I'm watching it, and it's very different when you're like, you know, trying to do that, not fall off, but you know, YouTube. And I start thinking just like, you know, there's some people who like they tie their whole YouTube thing to like them playing a game, and there's so many common stories of like people who do like let's plays or gameplay or some kind of content that's really focused around just like a single game, and then the game loses popularity or there's a dip or something, and then they just kind of go with it. They're very like tied to that game. They're almost like the chain, like retail chain workers of YouTube. Like they make a video every day of them playing this game, and then as soon as the big thing that is underpinning them dips or drops or decides that they're not relevant or important, they get let go. And now their skills as a pro as a pro COD player don't really mean anything, you know. Your skills as a Gap employee didn't really mean much. It's a little brutal. Nothing against Gap employees. Or pro COD players for that matter. The most disenfranchised group. You know, there's stories, you know, people, they show up to job interviews, and it's actually statistically more likely that if you are a pro COD player that you won't get a job compared to to someone who's not. What the fuck am I talking about? Right. And I was just thinking, like, what are even, like, my goals? Like, what are even my plans? Like, you know, all these discussions about, like, these people found success, these people didn't find success. And I thought, like, well, if I'm successful, which is, like, I guess my goal, like, what do I do? Because YouTube feels like, for a lot of people, YouTube can just kind of disappear, right? Like, it can just kind of go away. And you don't know why until it's over. So I'm like, what if that happened to me? Like, what would I do? What if I completely failed out of this? Like, people today would tell me, like, no, you're good, and I like your videos. And I believe them, and I think they're being honest, but it's like, you know, you don't know, and I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe a meteor could strike the YouTube headquarters, and they lose everything. Like, what do I do after that? I have no skills. Well, I have some skills, but my problem and this, like, thing I've got is, like, I feel like none of my skills are useful to society. Like, they're all just, like, creative stuff. And like, I don't know how to, like, leverage that, or I don't know how to scale that up, right? Like I was talking to, there's a lot of people who, you know, they do YouTube, and it's because they want to go into acting, or they want to go into filmmaking. You know, I was talking to, you know, Max of Mama fame, you know, just in one of our private, when we were just talking. And, you know, he was telling about all the stuff, like, you know, stuff that he wants to do, like, where he wants to take his career. And I was like, I don't really know if I could say that. And granted, he's a few years older than me, and I don't know. I think he wanted to do, you know, certain stuff for his whole life, and YouTube is, like, kind of a stepping, like, you know, one step for him on that. Like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, if you ask me, like, what was the purpose of my life or whatever, I don't know. I would just to enjoy myself would be my answer. I enjoy myself. And that sounds conceited, but you don't know how I enjoy myself. I could, you know, I could be saving animals. Maybe that's what makes me happy. Or who the fuck are you? Tell me that I shouldn't live for that. I don't. I live to think and engage my fancy. That's all I do. Why do you think I spend so much time just talking about fucking video games? It's like I can't talk about anything else. What am I talking about? Yeah, it's like, you know, like, I'm only, like, 20, but I feel like there's people who have much better ideas. Like, you know, I'd like to, like, you know, write a book or something. I had a weird moment, you know, I've been writing a book for about a year, and it's been an on-off thing, and I'm not consistent at it, and it's like, it's one of those things that's like, fuck, I should be better at this, you know? I try every day, I try to write every day, but I haven't been, and it's like, you know, you feel bad, right? You think about it, and you feel kind of ashamed. And, it's like, I had this weird thought a little before I just started recording, like, literally tonight / this morning. And I was like, what if I just dropped all pretenses of writing a book? Like, what if I just gave up? And it was this weird kind of like, I don't know, it was like something dropped inside of me. It was like, I don't know if I'd call it relief or something, but it was like, I don't know, I think it was like a desire to just not work, to just like not be stressed out about something. It was very, I don't know, it was weird. In thinking on it now, I don't think I want to stop. I don't think I want to give up on it, but it's, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything after the but. I think when I thought about it, part of it is just the fact that I'm like sick and tired, and I'm literally sick and tired. And the idea of like doing things is tiring, right? That's the worst state. Thinking of doing anything and you're like the smallest thing, like it's you know, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm just not sure of in my life, my future. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know, I guess I can do YouTube for maybe 5 years if it continues to be successful. But like, you know, 7 years, 10 years. You know, in 10 years I'll be 30. You know, like you think about yourself when I'm 20, and I think about it when I'm 30. It's like I don't even know what I see myself doing when I'm 30. You know, I don't even know who I'd be. Would I be alive? I don't know. And it's, I don't know, I feel like weirdly emotional. I feel like crying right now. Sort of, like, I feel that little thing, you know, like under your eyes, under and beneath your eyes. You're like, ooh, my tear ducts. But I don't know, it makes me kind of emotional for some reason. It's just, I don't know. Thought of like getting older. It's very weird. It's always weird to me. I have a lot of like anxiety around that. I'm just sitting here and I'm watching the time code, or whatever the fuck you'd call it, just tick up. We're at, 37 minutes, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45 seconds. And I'm like, wow, it feels like I've been talking for a while. And I don't even know how I'd transition into like a normal podcast topic. I told you this was going to be a very rambly episode. I don't know, it makes me, maybe like when I feel better, right? Sometimes I'm just, sometimes if I'm like if I don't have enough sleep or something like that, I start to, thoughts come to me that otherwise wouldn't, just like, negative thoughts and stuff like that. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, I feel fine. Okay. I just needed some rest. Like, I've noticed that like when I start getting like anxious thoughts, when I start like drifting towards like an anxiety attack or something like that about certain things, for me, it's usually a sign that I need to go to sleep. It's always like, my thoughts are drifting too far, and I don't know. It's like, From the way that I've been talking, you would think that I have anxiety all the time. I actually don't. I used to near the beginning, like the first half of the year of 2021 was really brutal for me in terms of that. But like when my channel first, like when the Konami video started getting views, it was really odd because it was like, I'm finally seeing like some kind of reward, some kind of what would you call it? Payback? Or no. you know, it's coming back around, and I'm getting something about, you know, some stuff that I put effort into, seeing some results. And at the same time, it doesn't make me feel anything because I'm just fucking having panic attacks every day. Which I was having multiple panic attacks every day pretty much for like a month and a half straight near the beginning of the year. And I was like, I should probably go to therapy. And I've been going to therapy for like 8 months now, which is really good. And I feel a lot better, and I haven't, my anxiety for, I want to say, the last 4 months has been way better. It's been much more under control. Because I did a lot of work on that. Like, you know, pulling apart kind of what I think and all that, and how my head works. And yeah, it was really funny because I remember talking to my therapist for the first time, and I told her, you know, the problems that I was having, and she goes, okay, well, just to let you know, problems like these are usually resolved within six weeks, like 6 sessions. I was like, okay, cool. And then eight months later, you know, it hasn't taken exactly 8 months, but it took a good, like, 5, I want to say. I feel a lot better. I still go just because I kind of enjoy it. And, you know, maybe there's more that I could still do, but yeah. The fuck am I talking about? Right, you'd think that I'm a really anxious person, but for the past little bit, I actually haven't been. I've been a lot better. Unless I don't get enough sleep, in which case I'll get a little spike of anxiety, and I'm like, time to throw on some +R match footage and close my eyes. It's where I fall asleep to fighting game match footage. It's really no commentary. It just you know, hit sounds and in the background is actually weirdly. I can watch it. I can just watch like a long set. And I can close my eyes, and there's the repetitive, the sound effects. Pop, 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 pop. You know, it kind of lulls me to sleep. It's very nice. And I don't know why I did that. Yeah, so it's mostly just the reason I sound like I'm a wreck is because my brain's real tired. My brain's all tired, and so you know, it's more like I'm ruminating on anxiety, and it's also been something very localized to like the last week or so. So it's just, you know, it's in my thoughts, it's in my head. Like if I close my eyes right now, it's like, oh, that feels kind of good, but I'm like, I keep talking. Oh yeah, I'm at like that point where my brain has like started sputtering, and it's like there's nothing left in my head, you know? There's nothing left to talk about. And you try to stall time by talking about how you don't know what to talk about. You know that like classic, really funny intro where it's like, I was told to write a speech. Wow, that's really cool and meta. It's like it's like a very Rick and Morty speech introduction, you know? Sorry I'm calling all you guys out who have done that. Fucking everyone has done that. They're like acknowledge how they're so unprepared to do this. Have I done that before? No, I don't think I have. Yeah, I had this weird thing where I was like, have I ever talked about this? I don't think so. I've talked to other people about it because I find it interesting. But so like I'm class of 2020, right? Which means that I didn't get like a real high school graduation. The way that it worked was they sent us, like, they mailed us our caps and gowns, and then no, we drove through the school and picked them up, and there's like a really funny video of me. The news stopped me and they talked to me about it, and I was like, well, and I have like short hair that looks bad, and it's funny. My dad's in the video, and my big ass thumbnail is like holding up the thing, like the tassel, and it's literally the thumbnail of the video on like the website for the news station. And anyway, yeah, so we drove past, we drove through, and they did a little drive-through pickup at my high school. And I went home and I was like, all right. And I the day that we had to like go do the ceremony, question mark. Usually we do it at like a specific, like, it wouldn't happen at school. It would happen at like a church. That's like our school's been doing their graduations there for like fucking 40 years, and then we couldn't do that, and it was like, all right, so what we'll do is you'll come in at your designated time for your homeroom, and then you'll drive through, you'll fucking step out of the car, you'll walk over a little carpet outside. This was all outside, around the parking lot, and then you'll stand in front of a thing, and someone will gingerly, like with a pole. I don't think they did it with a pole, but they were just wearing a mask. They'll hand you your diploma, and then you stand in front of a thing, and someone takes a picture, and then you walk back to your car and you go home. And that was what my graduation was. And then I think that they also did a thing where they did a funny little YouTube live stream, and they did like a little video for people. Like, you had to record yourself like walking towards the camera in your cap and gown. It was pretty silly. That was when we watched that in the living room. We got like an HDMI cable, and we hooked it up to the laptop up to the TV, and during it, my grandpa just fucking took a call because he didn't give a fuck. He just took a call from the whoever. I was like, all right, whatever. So basically, like, my school was it's like a private school. My high school was a private school, and I feel like with private schools, there's more like identity tied to them. Like, you go to a public school and it's like, go Wildcats. But pretty much it's just like, it's the school that you send your kid to because you live there. But like, if it's a private school, there's more of like we made the decision to send you here. So like, you get like generational stuff going on where, like, like, for instance, like, my dad and my uncle both went to my high school. And there's guys who, they're like the fourth generation of men to go through that school. And it was an all boys school. So there's like, a lot of people have like this, there's the tradition. Part of that, of course, is the graduation. Pardon me. And honestly, the tradition didn't really do anything for me. I'm not like that kind of a guy, I guess. It doesn't, I could take it or leave it. Like, we're not having a regular graduation, whatever. We're just gonna do it over a weird way. Sure, fine. It didn't bother me. And maybe that was like a coping thing. I don't know. um, but I can imagine that there were guys who were like bummed out that they didn't get to have a real graduation. So there was this like guy in my class who was like, he was a real go-getter, and he contacted the principal and he was like, we deserve class of 2020 deserves a real graduation ceremony. Because like they said some email that they were like, we're gonna give you a real one, and then they were never gonna fucking do that if he didn't reach out. So I get this email all of a sudden, like back in like, I don't know, a few months ago. What month would it have been? Like October or September or something. And it was like, we're doing a graduation and it's gonna be on December 18th. And I was like, really? Okay. And like, I didn't go. I don't know how many people. I feel like only a dozen people might have gone, and I don't know why, you know, I can't speak for anyone else, but like, you know, I didn't go because it was like, it just didn't. I was kind of like push and pull on it, like, should I go or should I not? You know, it was that kind of thing, like, And then I just kind of realized in the week leading up to it, like, I kept forgetting about it and getting reminded. And then in the week leading up to it, I was like, you know, the fact that I'm deliberating so much probably means that I don't want to go in the first place. And then I thought about it, and I kind of thought about it like, I'm not going. And then some just, you know, there was a thought process that naturally kind of came out of that, and I was like, why wouldn't I want to go? And I'm like, where are those feelings coming from? Why do I feel like that? And it was like, you know, I thought about, like, the timing was just wrong for me, at least. It was like, it's been if it had been like a few weeks or even a few months after we were supposed to have it, like during that summer after graduation, you know, fair game, right? But man, it's been like over a year, dog. It's been a while, you know. My brother's graduated. My brother's a year younger than me. He's graduated. He's working a full-time job, I think. I don't know. I don't talk to him. I only live with him. You know, the other thing is that, like, it's been too long. It's been too short, and it's been too long. It's been too soon to have like a class reunion type thing. But it's been too long to still be in like high school mode. Like, you know, most fucking guys are we're at that point we're done or almost done with their freshman year of college. One of them had moved, right? And I just thought, for me personally, like, I didn't go to college. I'm not going to college right now, and I don't really plan on it. I just thought, like, you know, so much has happened. I try to think about, like, going and doing a graduation again. And I'm like, I just don't think I could do it. I don't think it would be like it felt lame. That was like the number one word that came to mind. It's like I would feel lame. I don't know exactly what the ceremony ended up being, but it was like I would feel lame picturing myself in a cap and gown again and fucking back at my high school like nothing happened. It's like, no, a lot of stuff happened, right? Like, I feel like so much has happened in my life. Like, I feel like such a different kind of person than I was when I graduated, even, you know, a year out. It's like, when I graduated, I hadn't even started the blog that became this YouTube channel. I hadn't done any of that. I hadn't started the blog. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I'd never had a girlfriend before. I've had like 2 relationships now. I fucking, like, I was a virgin. I'd never held hands with anyone. You have to understand, I'd never held hands with anyone until I fucking, my first girlfriend last year, right? I never kissed anyone. I didn't get any. Just, you know, and then just all this stuff, like, I feel like I kind of grew up a little, in a lot of ways, you know? Going to, fucking, I had all this mental health shit I just talked about. I went to therapy and all that, and it's like, just the thought of, like, going and, like, cosplaying as a high schooler again. That's how I thought about it. Was just so, like, it's not what I want to do. It's not what I need in my life right now. I don't want to retreat to comfortable spaces. I'm already living at home. I'm already living at home, not paying any bills. We don't got any fucking bill. Our bills are like nothing. This house has been my family for like 60 years. There's no mortgage on it. And again, like, that's a privilege. I'm not talking about that. That's a different thing. I don't want to do that, right? It's like, it's not the right thing for me to be doing, I feel like. It would be nice to see some guys, but I don't know. I like everyone from my class. I do. I really did. I thought I had a really good class. I remember a very nice moment when I was a senior, and I was in the praise band, which is the fucking... It's the band that plays during masses, during our school masses. And I was a singer for it, because I like singing. And what that meant is that I basically got to... We had them in the gym, and we all got there before, you know... The way they would do it is, like, you'd have your first class and then go to homeroom, and then that's how they get everyone in order, and then everyone walks to the gym. But I just go straight from I would check in at homeroom, go straight to the gym, set up, warm up with that, you know, with the fellas. And then we played some fucking sick-ass Christian rock. I listened to so much Christian rock music because of that band. Not on my own time, just like because of practices and all that. There's some bangers, I'm not gonna lie. There's some head bangers in there. Head bangers like fucking Isaac banging his son's head with a rock, you know. I tried to throw in a little biblical reference. I don't know if that probably was pretty bad, but I just remember like sitting there and I watched my class, my whole senior class file in. Kind of did it in waves. And I just remember, like, it was the first mass of the year, and I just remember looking at everyone, and most of them, because it was the first day, I hadn't seen anyone. I hadn't seen a lot of them yet. And I was like, you know, there's this very nice feeling that kind of came over me, and I thought, like, you know, there's not a single person here that I'm not happy to see. It was a very nice feeling. I feel like I don't know, made some kind of a connection, even though I was very, I don't know, kind of lonerish in terms of like hanging out with people in high school. I hang out with people at school, but not out of school. I would just go home and sleep. I did that for 4 years. I have a great story. The one time I ever hung out with a guy after school. One time I ever hung out with a friend after school. I had this friend, I had a free period, and there's another friend I had who also, we had the same free period. And he comes up to me, And he goes, "Hey, Tygan, you want to like go to this mall after school and just like hang out?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You know, like get some lunch or something." I was like, "Yeah, that sounds fun." There was like a moment in my mind where I was like, "Turn it down," and then I was like, "No, no, don't go with your gut instincts. Just go along. It'll be fun." And so he ended up drove the two of us, and he was cool. He was a great guy. He was a good friend, and we just hung out after school, and it was like, oh wow, this is. I was very like tired. I was really out of it because I was always out of it after school. I was kind of like weird and loopy, and so I was like. So, you know, I was just kind of talking about nonsense the whole time. And so, like, we get there, and they just installed this new food court in the mall, and we walked over there, and he was like, "Hey, so, like, what do you want to eat?" And I go, "Oh, I'm not hungry." And he looks at me, and he's like, "Oh, but I thought we were like, kind of going here for lunch." And I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I guess we were." So, I was like, "You can eat, but I'm not hungry." So what happened is he got like some sushi or something, and we just sat together at like a table, and I just watched him eat. I like we talked, but I just watched him eat, and as it was happening, it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, oh my god, fuck, I'm so. I can't use the word. I can't, you know what I'm talking about. That's how I felt. I was like, oh god. Complete inability to fucking pick up on a social cue. And that was, yeah, that's the story of the one time. And it was fun, and, you know, he drove me back home. Thank you. Thanks, Isaac. Shoutouts, Isaac. Yeah, it was a lot of. It was fun, but also like, that was the one time. See, my thing is that like, if you asked me to hang out, I probably would. But I'm not gonna make the request. That's kind of my MO for everything. Pardon me. So, I was like, I would just, because he asked, I was like, yeah, he's the only person who ever asked. He's the only person who ever asked to hang out with me. It was very, very odd. I don't know. Maybe because like a lot of my friends were like more gamer types, and like, you know, hanging out on Discord or something would have been more common for them, and they would invite me to Discord servers, and then I would get burnt out by the human interaction, and then I would mute it after a few days, and then I would completely forget about it. So never really had any like after school interaction on that end. And then I would like, you know, I know, like, you know, I hear about like, oh, people who hung out after school, and I was like, that's crazy. You do that? How do you, like, what is that even like? You know, would you just like go to someone's house? For how long? Like, when do you sleep? When do you get work done? I have so much fucking homework to do. I'm writing a book. I wrote 3 fucking books when I was in high school. I was just, I don't know. It was weird because I was like not. I had friends. I had quite a few friends. I think I was actually quite well liked, but it was like. I just never. It was all contained to school. There was almost like a weird barrier that was thrown up between me and everyone else. I felt very lonely during high school. High school was a very lonely time for me in a lot of ways. I don't know, stuff would happen. I would just kind of, keep it to myself. And it was like, I don't know. I think overall I look back favorably on my high school experience. It was quite an interesting time. It does only happen once. I think I made a lot of it. I did a lot of stuff. If you do a lot of stuff, then you'll probably get a lot out of it. It's kind of how it works. It's one of those things, like, if you put yourself out there enough, then interesting stuff will happen to you. And what's nice is that now I have, what the heck? What was it I was thinking about? There's this kid in my Boy Scout troop, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like, I'm an Eagle. I am an Eagle Scout, and so when you become an Eagle Scout is like the highest rank of Boy Scouts, or Scouts BSA now that it's not the Boy Scouts. And so when you get your Eagle, there's a ceremony that you do. It's called your Eagle Court of Honor. And one of the things of an Eagle Court of Honor is that you there's this thing called a challenge candle. So essentially, or the Eagle Challenge. And so the idea is that you light a candle and you give it to one younger scout who you think can also get their Eagle. Like, they have the potential, you believe in them, but maybe they need some encouragement. And I decided to give it to this kid in my troop, and he was like very, I thought that he was like, he annoyed me a lot. I won't lie. He annoyed me a lot, but I kind of recognized that it was because he was like 12. He was like 11 or 12, and he just had a lot of energy, and I thought, like, he's a smart kid, and he just needs to direct his energy towards not being annoying, and he could probably get Eagle, and a lot more, he could probably do a lot. So I gave it to him, and I didn't even say any of this. This was all just my internal thoughts, my reasoning for it, and he was really touched by that gesture, and that was really nice. Like, he seemed like really like, wow, and he had this very, like, I don't know, this big, he was touched by it a lot, and I could just tell, you could see, because he just kept thanking me. And he asked me, he was like, hey, I'm thinking of going to, like, your high school. It's like what was one of his options. And he was like, so what do you have to say about it? And I just kind of talked, very briefly about my thoughts about it. And he ended up going there, and he told me he loves it. And it was this interesting, like, thing that I've never had in my life before, where we, like, kept in contact after that, because I kind of taken on this weird kind of like mentor role for this kid, and it's really I don't know, it's neat. I enjoy that. I was in this kind of situation growing up where, even though I was like the older brother, I never really was like, my brother and I always had like a weird relationship where we just kind of like I don't know, we were always kind of very separate, even though we were physically near each other. We were always kind of separate. And I never really got to be, like, much of a mentor for him. He always kind of just rejected me. And I just was like, okay, whatever. And I just ignored him, basically. We just kind of ignored each other for most of our growing up. So I never really got to do that. And when I was when I was a senior, I was in the band. I played the trumpet, and our school, it was an all boys school, and it had the heck was I fucking thinking of? We have two sister schools, and so for certain classes they would basically be, you would like go over to the other school or something, because like it would only be taught at one. Like it was kind of their way of getting more classes out of the program, just so they didn't have to like hire teachers for it and all that. So band was like it was called a tri-school class, and it was at our school, and so it was a co-ed class. And my senior year, something really weird happened, where previously there was a pretty decent mix of boys to girls, and for some fucking reason, I think there was a schedule change from one of the schools. There was one girl in band, and she was a freshman. There was one girl in a band of like 50 plus people. There was one girl, and she was a freshman, and she played the trumpet, and she was in the trumpet section. And she was a real sweetheart. She was a sweet girl. And it was really weird. It was interesting because like I was also because of people getting expelled or just quitting band. I ended up being the only senior in band that year. And I was head of the trumpet section, and the two other guys were like sophomores, I think. And it was like this really weird mix of like gender and age. And she sort of ended up getting sat next to me, because one of the sophomore guys lost his spot because he was being impetulant. So she became second chair, and I was first chair, so we sat next to each other. And it was this weird thing where I think she kind of like, I don't want to say latched onto, but she sort of like looked to me as like almost an older brother kind of figure. And because she was the oldest child. She had like one younger brother herself, but now she's put in this weird situation where like she's the only girl, and it's a bunch of dudes, and a lot of them are older than her, and she just felt very like out of place. And I was like, I don't know, welcoming. I'm not sure. I didn't feel like I was, hey, I'll be your whatever. But like, I don't know. It was nice. Like I remember sometimes she would come in, and one time she was like tell me about like how she was really nervous because she was doing her volleyball tryouts or something like that. And I just kind of encouraged her, and I reassured her. And then I remember like a few classes later, she like the next class or two classes or something like that, she came in and she was like, I got on the team. And I was like, wow. It was just kind of like a neat thing. Like she came to me to like tell me about this thing, and it was like I realized through like that experience that I really liked fulfilling that kind of a role for people. I really liked I don't know, that kind of like mentorship or older brother, or however you want to call it, kind of role for people. And it was something that I was never really able to like express in my childhood or other times really. And so like with this dude now who's like going to my high school, he's like a freshman now, and we talk every so often, and he tells me about what's going on at school and about his teachers, and a lot of them are teachers that I had, and he tells me stories. And my school was fucking weird. A lot of weird, funny, odd shit. I was thinking like making a fucking TV show out of just stories that happened at my school. Like it was a real loony bin. And he's getting that experience right now, and I'm telling him stories from when I was there and just the funny shit that happened. It's just the crazy stuff, and it's fun. And then he asked me, because he's into writing too, and he's thinking about game design and all this, and he's just asking me for like advice about creative stuff, and it's nice. It's something that I find very fulfilling, and I think it's good that like boys have like mentor figures who are like just like I don't know, other guys, right? You say that, and I feel like people's minds jump to like, oh my god, they're gonna get raped. They're gonna get groomed. And it's kind of a shame because, you know, you kind of look back at, like, I don't know, older, when that wasn't as big of a concern. And I'm not saying it's wrong for that to be a concern, but I feel like there's a lot more, like, ideas in, like, classical thinking, or how the fuck you want to call it, about, like, oh, like, you have this teacher who, like, you have a very close mentor-student relationship with, and, you know, it's like another, you know, some kind of like a man or a young, someone who kind of fulfills that role for you. And I feel like maybe it's just me, but I feel like in a lot of ways we kind of lose that because we're really protective of kids, and it's understandable and all that, but it's nice to be like, well, I'm not gonna rape him. Man, that's fucking really weird to say. You know, it's nice to have that, like, I feel like I'm being able to, like, do that for someone. I'm being able to, like, give someone, like, a safe relationship where they can just, like, talk about, you know, stuff like that, and you know, like, what they're dealing with, and their goals and stuff like that, and being able to help them along and teach them and stuff like that, and know that I'm, like, you know, at least providing, like, a safe way to do that or something. Like, you know, I can at least know myself. So I was, yeah, I find it very fulfilling. It's nice. My girlfriend the other day, she told me I have a very caring personality. She said it was like one of the first things that she noticed about me or something like that. And I thought that was very strange because I had never considered that, and I'd never been told that before. And it was, you know, maybe it suits me, you know. Maybe if the YouTube thing, let's see, now we're linking back now. Maybe if the YouTube thing doesn't work out, maybe I could do something in teaching. I hate the school system. No, I feel like I'd go into teaching, and then I'd be like, oh wait, but I don't like how the system that I have to do this in is set up. You know? Like, what would I be, like an English teacher? And then what? I'd be an English teacher, and then I'd fucking force kids to read Shakespeare. This is the worst possible way to... Can you, like, believe... It's so strange. It's so ass backwards and bass-ackwards that we have, like, kids reading plays. Like, what the fuck is that? What? That's like if you wanted to... It's literally like how do I... It's like if you wanted to... If you sat a music student down and you told them to analyze a song, and then you had them look at, like, the lyrics, or you had them look at, like, just the composition, and they couldn't listen to it. If you told someone to, like, analyze a film, and then you only gave them the script. It's probably a closer idea, but, like, you know, imagine making a full-fledged analysis of a movie, right? And only being able to read the script. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like plays, theater is meant to be acted and observed visually. You're not supposed to read it. What the fuck? That's like behind the scenes stuff. It's like, oh, if you really like it, you can go read it. What? What are you talking about? You're just gonna read it? You get nothing out of it. Like, could you imagine going up to William Shakespeare and being like, you know, Mr. Shakespeare, in the future, no one will watch your plays, but we will force people to read them. He'd be like, what? What? There's no way you guys do that. That's stupid. What? How could you? That's not the point. How do you miss the point that hard? And it's like, well, you see, when we're going to think that it's an important part of of education because of its cultural importance. However, video will not have been invented yet when we begin teaching this. So we will just have to do with the script. And, you know, we can't put it on ourselves. So we'll just have to deal. You're just gonna have to deal with that. And it's like, wow, are you surprised that people don't like these things, or kids aren't into fucking Shakespeare because you presented it to them in the least optimal way, in the least enjoyable way, like, ever? Why do you think kids hate reading, right? Like, if I was to be an English teacher, why do you think kids don't like reading? It's because you're forced to sit through all these fucking chores of books. Like, I used to be an avid reader when I was growing up, and then I just kind of got worn down by, like, well, I don't have as much free time because I have more homework, and part of that homework is these fucking boring ass books about topics I don't care about, that I'm forced to read and understand, and I'm judged on, and eventually you just get, like, Pavlovian trained to be like, when you think of reading, you immediately think, like, oh, fuck. It's a thing, like, I have to do. A thing I need to do. And it's gonna be something that I don't care about, and it's boring. That's your immediate, like, where your thoughts go. It's like, oh my, are you shocked that kids don't like reading? How is this surprising to you? You literally, this is like the World of Warcraft devs being shocked that there's toxicity in their game when they literally have a whole system set up to massively inconvenience players for the failures of other players. And they're like, why do people get mad in this game? It's because you fucking set up this system that's awful and just only produces toxicity. I look at real life like a video game in a lot of ways because I find it useful. Because life and all these things they're just like systems. There's so many good analogies you can make because, you know, games, what are they? It's like, it's a bunch of systems, it's a bunch of mechanics, and it's human psychology that you have to design around. Like, you know, you incentives and non-incentives, taxes are a fucking, like, disincentive to do things, right? If you think about it in that way. Tax write-offs are an incentive to do certain activities in the economy, right? If you just start looking at the world like a kind of video game, it sort of becomes a little easier to just, like, understand the thought process or the functions of things in the world. At least I think so. So I think I look at, like, you know, in my mind, kids being forced to read shit that they don't like because of the way that the system is set up and the values of education is the same kind of thing as the fucking keys going down a level when your party wipes in World of Warcraft Mythic Plus rating. It's like, this is a system that's designed, it's literally set up to produce animosity towards it, towards the activity itself. Like, it's a bad system. Because, like, we don't do it with anything else. We don't force... If we had to force kids to watch, like, long-ass movies that were fucking, like, really boring, like documentaries on stuff they don't care about, kids probably wouldn't, and that was like their main exposure to like film, they probably wouldn't like film very much. I remember this interesting story about in South Korea, K-pop is actually such a dominant musical genre that there's a lot of like young people who actually don't know any music outside of K-pop. Their entire understanding of music, like there was this guy who went there to teach English, right? And he would talk to his students about, what they like, and he would ask them what music they like, and he was kind of surprised when he would hear some kids just say, "Oh, I don't like music. I'm not into music. Like, I don't listen to it." And he didn't understand it for a little while until he came to realize that, like, when they say, "I don't like music," it's what they're really saying is, "I don't like K-pop. That doesn't resonate with me." And they just had no, like, conception of music that wasn't, like, mainstream Korean pop music, like, from their own country. And so they just had this conception. I don't like music as a whole. It's kind of like when I mentioned, like, playing Pokemon and thinking that I didn't like JRPGs. It's like this exact same thing. Like, I guess it's a little more... Maybe it's a little more... It's not a perfect one-to-one analogy, but because, it's so ever-present in Korea, right? That kind of music. And this same, like, guy telling this anecdote, he was like... Pardon me. He said that he was in, like, a shoegaze band while he was over there. Shoegaze, if you don't know, is basically a genre of, like... It's got guitars, but it's, like, kind of weird and spacey, and the reason it's called shoegaze is because it uses a ton of effects. So, like, vocal effects, guitar effects, the like, and so singers and musicians and the guitarists would be looking down at their shoes because of how many effects pedals they had. That's why it's called shoegaze. It's very different, it's pretty obscure. Like, even you talk to a lot of people today, they don't know what the fuck shoegaze is. The only reason I know what shoegaze is because there's a song from No More Heroes called Shoegazer Saw the Stars, I think. It's a great name for a song. Really cool song, too. And so he was in the shoegaze band, and he would recall the reactions of like a lot of the natives, and they would just be like, "Whoa, what is this?" They'd be like, "I've never fucking heard anything like this. What? Music can sound like this? It doesn't just sound like pop music?" Yes. It is. It can, and it's like this revelation. I think we do the same thing with kids with, like, reading. It's like, that's why they just hate it so much. And they're like, all the exposure is just stuff that doesn't resonate to them. When you're just bombarded with things, when your only exposure to something is stuff that you don't care about, you're just gonna have a blanket opinion of it. You don't care about it. And it's a shame. It's not cool, I don't know how it would change. Because it's so weird to say, like, oh, what, just take reading out of the curriculum? But, like, yeah. Or maybe, like, from the beginning. You know what we should do? If you really want reading to be in the curriculum, why don't you, like, have it start off where it's all voluntary? Like, you get to pick a book, any book, and you get to read that book. And you're like, but kids aren't gonna read the books that they check out. Yeah, if you do it too late. Like, when I was a kid, like a little kid, before we'd been disenfranchised with reading, people who in middle school would never read, right? Would be like, reading, unless they had to for a class, right? They would fucking pick up books and they'd read them. Like, if you start out kids reading and just letting them explore it and discover it and find out what they like, who gives a fuck if they just stick to Goosebumps or Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Because it's First of all, those are good books. I'll stand by those. I think those are both good series. You know? Who cares? Who cares? They are reading. Because the alternative of forcing them to read real literature is they're not gonna read at all, right? And, like, the people who want to... Like, it's not even that fucking... Reading books are just a fucking form of entertainment. They're just a form of entertainment, right? Like, there's more meaningful books or whatever. But just, you know, there's more meaningful television series. There's more meaningful films. Books are a form of entertainment. And reading is you know, it is an important life skill. As the trailer for Phantom Breaker Omnia will remind you. Reading is an essential life skill, so yeah, it makes sense to have it in the curriculum. But, like, you don't... Like, what do you get out of reading Great Expectations, right? You can tell me, right? But it's all story stuff. I'm talking about, like, skills. Like, life skills. Well, you don't read much, like, Dickensian text in your everyday life, right? So you would only be the only reason to really read Great Expectations is for the content, like the meaning of the like as a story, the themes, the characters, the historical context, the meaning you can draw from that, the analysis you get from it. But, like, what if I don't care? Then you've completely lost the point. You've completely lose the point because it's never going to truly resonate and it's not going to stick in my head or really mean anything. You're actually much better off, you know, sticking to stuff that you like and then just scaling upwards, you know, if you choose. I feel like as long as you're just reading something, it's preferable to nothing, right? Or just hating it. That's my idea. Like, we have these ideas about, like, everyone should read this book. We, like, elevate books above other mediums of art for some reason, and I think it's partially what scares people away from it. Like, books are this thing. It's this thing that if you read them, you're smart. No. You're not. Probably. Not necessarily. Or it's better to just stop looking at it that way, like, because it creates this, like, almost elitism. But because most people aren't in it, you have this, like, spiteful thing where it's like, well, that's for you fucking smartos. You smart asses. Smart Alex over there. That's not for me. I'm gonna do my own thing with these other mediums of art. And it just, like, the fact that we, like, separate reading and books as this superior medium, I think, is actually very counterintuitive to that medium being read. But people in academia love to just wall people off. They love to be in their own little cliques. It's another reason why I feel like I would not like academia, you know, teaching. Maybe not. Maybe I would encounter that. Probably more if I was, like, in a university or something like that, but just the sheer... Oh, well. Well, you should know that I read books. Wow. Congratulations. You know, everyone should. Like, you don't actually care about reading if that's the kind of attitude you have. You don't actually care about it. You just care about what it does for you. Like, you don't want more people to read. You want less people to read so that you look cooler. It's such a selfish kind of mindset. Not cooler, but smarter. Maybe cooler in a way, but, you know. Man, I've been talking about fucking goddamn nothing. Maybe in the next few days I'll feel better, and, my idea was, like, you know, maybe I'll... should I make a community post telling people, oh, there was not going to be a video this week either because, And I was like, no, that's a... Because what I feel like what that would do is it would be like a Streisand effect, right? Like, to me, I'm very aware of the gap in uploads. And I put out the first post just to let people know because I thought it was going to be a fluke thing. Well, it turns out it wasn't. But if I keep doing it, it's like, the first time you're going to be like, oh, okay. And then it's going to kind of fall to the back of your mind. And then when you see me upload next, it's going to be like, oh yeah, he was sick. So there was a little delay in the video. If I make another post, it's in your mind, you're going to be like, wow, he's not uploading. Oh, you're thinking about it. It's like, I don't even want to make people aware of it. I don't even want to like bring that to people's minds. I'm going to bring it to your mind because you guys are my special little crew. Look, if you listen to this podcast, you probably don't mind that my main channel my main uploads are not as frequent. But I was like, yeah, I'd better to not draw any attention to it. Better to just kind of leave it like in the aether of people's minds. Because like if you keep drawing attention to something, like people who like make an update video like once a month about like, here's what's going on with the channel, people just, instead of just like doing it or letting it happen organically, I think like one thing that's difficult as any kind of creator to realize is that like you are very aware because you're living it every day of like how often you're making stuff. But like other people, your stuff just shows up. They've got other stuff going on. They've got stuff going on in their lives. They got jobs. They've got, other people that they're watching. You don't have to like tell people like, okay, here's what's going on. I'm switching over my schedule to twice a week. Okay, now I'm switching over my schedule to once a month. Because you're just going to make people think about it instead of like, oh, he's uploading twice a week now. What a treat. Or he uploaded twice in 1 week. What a treat. I'm seeing his videos more. Because you don't even like, most people aren't even like aware probably. Like when I think of people I'm subscribed to, I'm not even aware. Like, what was the gap between the last two Donkey uploads? A week? 2 weeks? I don't even know. And he's one of my favorite YouTubers. Not even like, it's not even in my head, So if the frequency increases or decreases, people probably aren't going to notice unless you like specifically brand your channel or a video series like the Tuesday thing or something like that, right? Friday at Freddy's. Friday nights at Freddy's. I do a FNAF video on Fridays. It's about Bonnie. It's about Chica. We throw parties. We eat pizza. Oh god, I feel so cringy for saying that. That was a funny meme. I laughed at that the other day. Yeah. So I was like, just don't talk about it. Don't talk about it and let the upload speak for itself. I'm going to talk about it here because I don't know. I was thinking about maybe making a separate channel. I feel like at some point I kind of have to make this into a separate channel, but right now I don't want to. I feel like it would split things too much. I don't know. You know what? I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm gonna go make something quick to eat, and I'm gonna maybe go lay down or something. I have no clue. Anyway, thank you. I said I was gonna do it. This was supposed to be a live episode. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Not for a minute. Maybe it's some milestone. I have no clue. Yeah, it would be fun to do. I like to try to do events somewhat often. So, you know, maybe some other time. 50 episodes, the live episode or something like that. Maybe a milestone. I got no clue. Yeah, I've got any questions. This was kind of a weird video. I didn't even talk about video games. There wasn't anything I really felt like talking about anyway. I just kind of talked about personal stuff. Which... maybe I talked about like parasocial relationships, and this probably didn't do anything for that, but hey, fuck it, I don't know. Just remember, I'm not your friend. I am just a person that you watch and sometimes speak to in a comment section. I am not your friend. At most, we are mild acquaintances. Yeah, thank you if you've been watching. If you've watched up to this point, thank you very much. If you have a question, leave it in the comments below. Didn't get any questions last time. But if you got a question, leave it in the comments below, and I'll definitely get to it next time. Thank you guys for like 3,100 subscribers or something. It's around there. I'll be back next week, hopefully healthy and happy and swinging. Bye.